Hey guys, what is up? This is Stephanie, aka the Limitless Babe, reminding you today and every day that you are limitless. So today, this is not actually the topic that I wanted to address today, but something pretty important, pretty scary happened to me, my daughter, and my mother the other day. And so I just feel like there's a need, and I have an obligation and a responsibility to share our story so that maybe it can help protect someone else. So, like I said, this was not where I wanted to go today. I had really a few fun topics for you guys lined up, including like updates on how I'm feeling post Supermom, and, diaper things and stroller things and vision board things. I had lots of really fun things, but this one is really at the top of my list. And I really wanted to do it today specifically. I've been wanting to actually talk about this since it happened. So, the issue that I'm going to talk about right now occurred on Friday. Today is Tuesday when I'm recording this. So it happened on Friday. And yeah, let me just jump right into it and let you guys know. I also was intentional about wanting to do it today. As silly as this may sound, I'm going to be emotional probably about it. And I wanted to release it, do some somatic breath work, which usually makes me cry a lot, which is great because it's releasing, you're just getting it all out of your system. And then this was perfect timing because I'm due for my lash appointment. I didn't want to do it afterwards and ruin them. So let me get to the topic so you guys know, well, what is she talking about? So today's topic is about the human trafficking stories that you guys may or may not have heard of in Walmart over the last few years. Unfortunately, I have had my own experience with an attempt, at least what I believe was an attempt at human trafficking. And it was very scary. It was a little bit traumatic. And I want to let you guys know what happened so that you can be aware, be vigilant, monitor your surroundings always, not be scared, but be aware, and possibly protect yourself or a loved one by sharing the story with anyone that you know or worry about or should be aware of this so that they can protect themselves and know what to do in these situations. I'm sure many of you have heard of or seen on social media different posts talking about human trafficking issues that have occurred at stores like Walmart. Okay. And this is not a bash onto Walmart. Unfortunately, this is just where we hear it from. And unfortunately, this is where our story takes place. So on Friday, after a series of derailments and a series of just things not going right and being guided, I ended up going with my mom and the baby, Gracie, to Walmart. We were going to just go buy one of those sprinkler splash pads. We were supposed to go to the beach in the morning, and then the day got away from us. And then I said, okay, I'll take you to a splash park. Our local splash park was closed. I drove to 3 other ones. They were closed. So I finally just said, you know what? Forget it. We're going to go to Walmart. We're going to buy a little sprinkler pad and at least let her have some fun before, we have to head back home because we had something we had to do at 4:45. So, that's what we did. My mom met us at the splash park only to find out that it was closed. So she went with us to the Walmart. We were going to go to her house because she lived closer. So we get into the store. We only went to 2 aisles while we were in the store. First one being the pool toys aisle. I think I'm saying that right. Yeah, pool toys aisle to find the splash pad. So while we're there, I did notice, because I am always aware. That's one thing I will say, that as a single mother, I feel like you extra have to be. Even when you're not a single mother, you really should be, and usually are, because you have the maternal instincts to be mindful. But when you have that partner, oftentimes we rely on our partner to be the vigilant one. Well, I have to be the vigilant one, and I'm really grateful for that instinct right now. So we were in that aisle, and I noticed that there's this man by himself, no shopping cart, and he's just standing there. And I did think it was a little odd, but I didn't think at that point, I didn't really think too much of it. I just assumed, well, maybe his wife or girlfriend sent him to the store to pick something up for the kids, and he's just trying to figure out what he needed. But there were a few things that I thought was odd. One being, like, he never picked anything up to look at it. And he was just standing there trying too hard to not look at us at all. Like, at least not obviously. If he was very discreet about it. But he was just like there, just and not for nothing, I don't mean to like boast on my daughter, but my daughter's funny. She just turned 3 years old, but she has been talking since she had just turned 2. And she is hilarious. She is very verbal. Everybody's always kind of blown away when she starts talking in stores. And I'm used to people either laughing or chuckling under their breath when she says things, or even just flat out telling me, oh my gosh, like she's so verbal. So I did think it was a little weird that she said a few things that were like spicy, very true to her nature. And like radio silence, just like almost like, again, trying to, or when someone's trying too hard to not look at you. It was weird. And I mean, again, I didn't, in the moment, that didn't bother me. But when I thought back in retrospect, these are the thoughts that I started to have. And I was like, oh, wow, like I should have paid attention to that. Which I guess on some level I did, though. And then the other thing being that if someone had sent him, or if he was confused about what he was getting, I don't know about you, but when someone sends me to the store to pick something up, or if I'm like debating between something, I will phone a friend. I will call in a lifeline, phone a friend, and I will ask, hey, like, what do you think about this? They have this, they have this. I will like work it out with somebody. And he was just like silent, staring at the opposite aisle from where we were. Just, it was weird. Whatever. Didn't think too much of it at that point. But then we went from that aisle all the way almost across the store to the little girl's shoe aisle, because my mom had bought her these shoes that were really cute, but they were way too big. So we wanted to exchange them. So as we're looking at the shoes, again, same thing. We're talking, she's being spicy and funny and refusing to try things on. And we were having a good time. We were having a fun time. But at one point I look up, and again, there's that same man doing the same thing. And I'm sorry, but at this point now, I'm really concerned because he didn't take anything he had nothing in his hands from the toy aisle. He had no shopping cart. What are the odds that you are here for pool toys, which you didn't get, and little girl shoes, just like us? What are the odds at the exact same time? So at that point, my mama bear kind of like kicked in, and I made eye contact with my mom, and I kind of like mouthed to her, like, that guy's behind us again, that same guy from the other aisle. So like she caught on to what I was saying, thank goodness. And so we got out of the aisle, and this was intentional on my part. Although my one regret is that when I realized it, I wish I would have thought to snap a picture. I did not, but I really wish I had. But again, like, I think there was just so much in my head going around, and primarily like, oh my God, is Grace safe? Like, and this isn't to sound like pompous or arrogant or say like, oh, when you're a mother, like you're just so much better. No, but there is this different level of like instinct in you to protect your cub, to protect your baby, and just make sure that they are safe at all costs. And it is something that is ingrained. I mean, we grew them. And it's not to say that every mother is the same, that there's not some mothers that, are toxic or unhealthy and don't have that. But like 95% of mothers have that instinct to just protect. So in that moment, that was my thought versus being, I guess, a little smarter and like being strategic and tactical about it. It was just action. So what I will say, though, that I'm glad about is I immediately thought, get her out to safety. Because in my head, I'm thinking, like, I'm trying to process all this very quickly. If this man is following us, what are his intentions? Why is he following us throughout the store? And it's not like I'm alone. It's not like Grace is alone or my mom is alone. There's 3 of us together. So what are your intentions? What's your plan? So my brain immediately went to, and again, this is all going to just be speculation. This is all going to be assumption. But my brain and my instinct, which I have learned to trust very much, my instinct tells me that this was an attempt to human traffic at least my daughter, if not all of us, I don't know, and that he was not working alone. I have very strong feelings that he was working with people that were probably in the parking lot, in a van, in a truck, whatever, and the intention was to follow us until we got out and grab us. I don't know. Again, this is all in my head. This is all thoughts that like circulated. So I got my mom, like her attention enough to get her out of the aisle. And we went like to the, like how the ends of the aisle have things on them. So we went like maybe like 3 aisles over to the end of the aisle. And I purposely stayed there because I wanted to see if he would come look for us. And he did. So that was like my confirmation, like, yep, he's following us. He's trying to keep tabs on us. Like, you were trying this whole time not to look at us. And by the way, when I realized that this man has been following us when we were in the aisle, I looked dead at him, and he looked up, but he refused to look me in the eye. He would not look me in the eye. So when we got out of the aisle, he peered out to see where we were. And when I saw that, I said, okay, Mom, keep her safe. And I followed him. And by the time I got, so we were only 3 aisles over at the edge. So that wasn't a far walk. By the time I made it to the aisle, he was gone. So this is not someone who just was walking and just happened to walk away. No, he bolted. He saw me look at him and he bolted. Or he probably heard me say, that's it, I'm going to say something. And I rushed, like, Walmart's kind of like a maze. Like, they have aisles going this way, they have aisles going this way, they have aisles going that way, every which way. So I got out of that aisle, and then I ended up in the women's clothes. And when I got into the women's clothes, I looked diagonally, and he was walking, but like speed walking toward the door. And at this point now, I'm speaking out to him. I said, why are you walking away? Why are you running? Where are you going? I thought I want to talk to you. And at that point, he runs out the door. And according to the surveillance video, which I'll get to that part of the story, he never stopped running as far as the cameras could see, because they have cameras in the parking lot, thank God. So when that happened, again, mind you, like, I'm in adrenaline, I'm in instinct, I'm in just like action. So in that moment, my fight or flight was fight. And I immediately like grabbed the first employee that was right next to me, and I told her what happened. And she told me, okay, call the cops and have them escort you outside. And also they're going to view the surveillance video and write a report. I said, okay, great. So mind you, at this point now that has all happened, I'm shaking. I went back to look for my mom, and then I panicked because she kept, which was smart. We didn't want to scare the baby. So she kept walking and kind of talking to her to keep her engaged. And that was very smart, the smart action to take. But it made a panic in me, because when I went back to find them, they were gone. I said, oh my God, his partners got them. So it was just really scary. And, I called her on the phone, and I heard her voice through like the air also. Like, so the phone and in the air, I was like, okay, she's close. So I found her and I told her what happened, and I called the police. So mind you, like I said, at this point now I am shaking, because now my fight has kind of like, it hasn't gone away, but it's like fizzling down. My adrenaline is going down, and now my brain is catching up and processing what the hell is happening. And it just feels very surreal, because again, you hear these stories all the time and you think, oh, that's scary. And yes, people be vigilant, but that's not going to happen to me. Well, like, it almost did happen to me. And, so I called the police, they came, and I told the first officer that came in what happened. It was a young woman. And I told her, and she said, okay. And I asked her, I said, can I get a copy of the footage? Because I'm going to make a video to spread the word about safety on my YouTube channel. And I do understand. So like, here's where I like am torn, because I do understand their position that they can't do it for legal reasons, for his safety, or for his rights, not safety, but his rights, because technically, and criminals know the loopholes better than we do. Technically, nothing happened, right? So technically, he didn't do anything, at least nothing illegal. And so, he has certain level of rights that have to be protected, and I respect that. But they did tell me that I could contact Walmart. And after I record this video, I actually am going to call later today and see if I can get it. But I already have a feeling that they're not going to give it to me for the same reasons. But you never know, because safety first. So, so I tell her, and then her partner comes in, and I tell him what happened. Now, at this point, again, it's all becoming real to me, especially as I'm talking to her and processing things. And like, my brain is starting to catch up with what my body just jumped into. Everybody just keeps saying, wow, you were so brave to confront him. And like, even the employee said that, the officer said that. And I just, at that point, I realized what could have happened. And it's interesting because my brain is going in a million places as I'm trying to tell you guys this story, because there's so many like dynamics and pieces that were happening all at the same time inside my body and brain. But one thing you don't know about me, and actually one thing that was going to be one of the videos that I wanted to make more recently, is a few years ago, I was actually attacked by a gang. And I am still going to make that video because I wanted you guys to understand something about the importance of doing your inner work and healing certain things and how it affects you. But this is something that I actually have done EMDR therapy for, and am still working through some triggers and things that come up. But it has taken me a very long time to feel safe in certain areas. Now, I grew up I would say I grew up middle class, and I did spend a good amount of my time though in areas that were, I don't know how to describe it, but maybe more lower income. Like, I was never scared of it. I was never scared of going to the rougher neighborhoods to go shopping or, do whatever, take the bus to go here. I was never scared of that growing up because, like my dad had a business in those areas and my grandma lived in those areas. And it's just like, it kind of was normal, right? Like it wasn't intimidating or scary to me until I got attacked a few years ago. And I've been working on that and working through those feelings and finally feeling safe in places that used to be like second homes to me. You know what I mean? Like it was never, how do I explain this? It feels very violating to be ripped out of safety in an environment that you've always felt safe. You know what I mean? And it made me look at the world differently, and it made me look at my environment differently and want to be in different environments, and just, it really did a number on me, and I didn't like how that felt. So like I said, I've been working through it, and here I am now, finally letting myself do these situations again. And it was an area that was a little less than a desirable area, but I'm working through my stuff and I'm trying to get back to old me. And now this happens. So there's one point that I want to make. Another point that I want to make is that, it's interesting because one of the other things that I've been working through in EMDR is that my fight or flight response for many years, or for the last few years rather, has been freeze. When it comes to me, it has been freeze. But it's very interesting that when you become a mother, that freeze goes out the window. All of a sudden, you just, and it's taken me some time. Like it wasn't an overnight thing. You know what I mean? Like it's taken a few things that have come our way as I've been a mother, and I've had to like protect her and deal with things. And now my fight or flight is very much like address the issue, handle it, protect your baby at all costs. And so I'm really grateful for that. But all of these things happening in my brain. And so, like I said, I just kind of jumped into action and didn't think about it because it wasn't about me. That is a shame and a sad fact that with our fight or flight response, a lot of times, if it's for ourselves, we'll freeze or we'll flee. But when it's for someone that we love, we will move mountains and jump into action, which is shocking because the number one person that we should love and want to protect is ourselves. It's that whole theory of like, make sure your oxygen mask is on first, and yet we don't do that. But we jump into action for those we love. And it's a beautiful thing, but it's also, I wish that we could do it for ourselves as well. But anyway, getting back to the story. So anyway, they like when all this is happening and I'm telling the officers what happened, especially the first officer, it kind of like washed over me. Like this guy was probably trying to take your daughter. And when I had that realization, I just like practically fell to the ground and cried because like you would have to kill me. You would have to kill me to harm my daughter. If it's in my power, if she's with me, you would have to kill me. Like that's how intense it is. Like, and I just, I felt really scared for a second. Like again, I'm still processing all of the feelings that I had. I was scared. I was proud of myself. I was relieved. I was a little re-traumatized. I was nervous about the fact that what if he wasn't alone? Like anybody walking in and out of the store could have been with him, which, by the way, right after he ran out, two strange women approached me and no one else talked to us about this. And it's interesting that like I felt weird about them. Like their energy was weird. And I'm very observant of energies. And when I mentioned that I was going to call the cops, they were like, okay, well, good luck. And they walked away. Like, I don't know. I just felt like, were they with him? And you hear that too. You hear a lot of times that with situations like this, they work with women to, it's not groom, but there's a word, but like to kind of like pull you in and get you comfortable and close so that they can take you. And again, like even as I'm saying this, this all seems so surreal. Like, does this stuff really happen? Yeah, it does. So anyway, while we were waiting for them to watch the surveillance video, that's when, like, again, my body is catching up with what the hell just happened and starting to get into that trauma. And I sat on the floor and I just kind of like rocked. And my mom was with the baby, which I'm again super grateful. Like I told her, I was like, just please, like what I need you to do right now, I'll handle all of this. Just stay with her. Do not leave her side. And don't leave my sight because I'm paying attention. So I sat on the floor and I just kind of like rocked and like nurtured myself and did a lot of deep breath work and like to calm my nervous system. And I noticed that it re-triggered my hypervigilance that I had after I had been attacked a few years back. And so I sat there just staring at everyone coming in and everyone going out and looking for like, are you looking at me funny? Do I think that you were with him? Do I think that you're like scoping out the situation? And it's a horrible feeling. That is just such a horrible, draining feeling. And I felt very helpless in the moment. So again, like these are all just feelings that are like circulating through my mind and my body. And I just want you guys to know that if you have ever been through something like this and you feel all those feelings, this is totally normal, but it's up to you to make sure that you take care of yourself. So again, like in that moment, granted, like I really just needed to be held, but that wasn't really an option right then and there. Because again, we didn't want my daughter to be alarmed. I don't want her to ever live in fear. I want her to be aware, but I don't want her to live in fear. And so when the cops came back, they confirmed, they said, so we watched the video and you are 100% right. Everything that you just said is accurate. He was following you throughout the store and he was also taking pictures. So then the cop turned around and they said that when he ran out, that he ran, you know, all the way. He didn't run to a car. He ran out. So their theory was that he probably wasn't working with someone because he didn't run back to a car and that he was probably just a pervert that was taking pictures of me. Is that possible? Yes. But again, I've learned to really trust my instincts and that doesn't add up to me. So in my mind, if you're just a pervert that wanted to take a couple pictures and have your jollies after you left, you got your pictures. Why are you still following me? Why? What is the point? And also, he wasn't, I don't know. It doesn't feel right. That answer doesn't feel right. And with the whole theory of, oh, because he didn't run to a car. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you. I am not a criminal. And yet I know that the cardinal rule of criminals is don't run back to, like, don't lead the cops back to your crew. If you're working with a team, you don't go back there. If you get caught, you run. And then if you get caught, they will take care of you. They will be, I feel like people know this. Like we watch movies. So if he was working with someone, he's not going to run right and lead us right back to them, right? Like he knows I'm paying attention. He's not going to run right back and say, oh yes, these are all the people that I'm working with. Like you don't run back to the getaway car if you're caught. I don't know. So you know, that's the cops theory. My theory was definitely like, my instinct tells me this, but I digress. They did escort us out to our car to make sure we were safe. And again, like just that feeling of like panic and looking around. And was so hyper vigilant and watching every vehicle that was around us. And there was unfortunately quite a few vans, RVs, trucks. And like, I was just staring to see if there was anyone in them, and like just that panic. And then, we had told my dad what was happening. I called him and told him what was happening, and he was going to try to meet us, but he couldn't get there in time because the cops couldn't stay because he was working. So he agreed, okay, well, don't drive home, drive here and I'll meet you here. And so we agreed, and I followed my mom because, again, I'm the more, out of the two of us, I am the more vigilant one. And I made sure no one was following either one of us. We got to my dad, everything was fine. And obviously, like, we're fine now. And the report was written, everything. But it was still super scary. It was super, super triggering to my nervous system. It was very eye-opening. Now, why did this happen? I could think, well, we had such a, and after all of this, after the time that it took to have the cops come do the report, have them watch a surveillance video, we didn't make it back in time for what we needed to be home to. So at the end of the day, I could have just taken her to the beach and none of this would have happened. But you guys know, if you follow my channel, that I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason, and that when I feel inspired to talk about things, it's my obligation to do so. And the fact that I felt the need to share this story, maybe I'm going to protect one of you from this situation happening to you. And if I can help even one person, I've done my job. You know what I mean? I've done what I'm supposed to do. Maybe if I didn't go to the store and I wasn't the one that was targeted and was hyper vigilant, maybe someone who wasn't vigilant, someone who wasn't paying attention, would have been the victim of a horrific crime. We don't know what the plan was. You know what I mean? You don't know if it was just to kidnap, to human traffic, to murder, gang related. You don't know. You don't know if this was something much worse than my brain can even wrap around. It could have been something as harmless as a disgusting pervert, but it also could have been something really serious. So maybe I saved someone else because instead of preying on someone who would have been a victim, I jumped into Mama Bear and I protected myself, my daughter, my mother, and whoever else could have been the victim if I wasn't there. So that's the story. That is what happened. And again, like, I just really want to urge you guys, don't be scared. Like, I don't want you to walk around scared and paranoid about all these things, but I do just want you to pay attention. Look, at the end of the day, with all of the feelings, all the bad, negative feelings that came with that, there were also some good feelings, because when I got home and I thought about it and I spoke to my coach about it, I realized, like, you know what, though? This was proof that I can protect myself and Gracie. I can protect us. I can keep us safe. You know what I mean? Like, anytime our worst fears have occurred, I have been able to keep us safe. And so that was like a really good moment for me to just retrust myself. Because, especially any of you that have been through domestic violence, any of you who have been through traumatic situations or attacks, like I'm about to, well, not about to, but like I'm going to share with you in the upcoming weeks. Part of abuse is it makes you, first of all, not feel safe. And it makes you almost not trust yourself. And you lose a little piece of yourself every time that something like that happens. And this didn't take anything from me. This gave me back. This gave me that reaffirmation back that no. Like, I still got that fighter in me, and no one is going to harm my daughter on my watch. So it was just really eye-opening in that way. And I'm really grateful for, that positive that came out of it. I don't want to keep going on and on because, like I said, I really want to do somatic breath work before my appointment. So I'm going to go do that. I am going to go nurture myself. But that's another, I do want to like leave you guys with this though. When things like this happen, or when you're out, don't be scared, be vigilant, be mindful, pay attention to your surroundings. Just notice things, okay? Especially women. If you are a woman, and I hate to say this, but unfortunately, we are the ones that are targeted. And look, you don't have to be alone. We were a group of 3 and we were targeted. So just pay attention. Another big thing is look people in the eye. Okay? If you look people in the eye, if you have that confidence, that makes them nervous. And that, look, he wouldn't look me in the eye. Now, I will tell you right now, he was roughly 5'6", about a medium build, like not athletic, but a medium build, right? 5'6", Latino, darker complexion, short hair, clean shaven face, brown eyes. I mean, unfortunately, I wish I had a more distinguishing thing to tell you. I know he was wearing at that time a red t-shirt and a navy blue cap, but I couldn't give you guys anything more. Like, if there was one thing I would do differently, I would have taken a photo. I would have taken, like, been like, oh, mom, let's take, like, I want to take a picture of the baby. And I would have like snapped it somehow in a way, or a video, or like something quick in a way where I would have had like footage of what he looked like so that I could spread the word. So just things like that. Another big one is, if you are anywhere and you feel uncomfortable, if you do feel like somebody's following you or whatever, notify a proper authority, whether that be a store employee. You can ask store employees to escort you to your car if you don't feel safe for whatever reason. Okay. You can call the police like I did. If they have security, you can notify them, whatever the case is. And this is a big one that it didn't happen to me in this case, or it might have. I don't know what was going to happen when we got outside if we didn't call the cops and if I didn't chase him away. But I have heard stories of this. If you park somewhere and a van, a big vehicle, anything big vehicle parks next to you or driver's side door where you have to get into and you don't feel comfortable, have someone escort you out. It doesn't matter who, just have someone escort you out, or wait until the vehicle leaves. Okay. Yes, on the one hand, you say, I don't want to be paranoid. I don't want to live my life like this. Okay, but you know what? Better safe than sorry. Okay. And having someone simply follow you out is not you being paranoid. It's you being smart, because unfortunately, these are situations that happen to women. Okay. Make sure always, and this is something that like freaked me out after this all happened. Like, thank God my daughter was sitting in the cart strapped in and we were right there on top of her. But like, there was a mother coming in and her daughter was walking behind her. And then eventually the mom turned around and was like, come on. And I get it. Like, listen, like, I'm not judging it. I understand. These toddlers are ruthless. These toddlers want to be wild and free, and they don't want to be holding anybody's hand. But at the same time, if that guy had been there, he could have easily snatched that little girl, and mom would have not even realized it. So guys, know where your kids are. Be vigilant, be mindful, speak up, say something if you don't feel comfortable, call proper authorities if you don't feel comfortable, take videos and photos just in case if you don't feel comfortable. And if anybody else has any other tips or advice for anyone who's out, especially with children, to keep yourself safe, please feel free, put it in the comments. Share your wealth of knowledge with others to keep them safe. I know someone told me to get a taser. Listen, that is not a bad idea, and I am looking into it. So take care of yourselves, and this is also an important part. What I'm about to do right now is an extra important step. If something like this happens to you, don't just brush it under the rug and say, it's over, it's done with, that's it. Speak to someone, speak to a therapist, speak to a coach, process things through EMDR if you have access to that. Do some somatic breath work, which is what I am about to do right now. Nurture yourself, you know what I mean? Like, just like hold yourself, get someone else to hold you, and just like remind yourself, I'm safe. Another one that I like to do is I love tapping. I've actually been teaching my daughter, and it's super cute. And we just go, I am safe. I am divinely guided. I am abundantly blessed. I am safe. I am divinely guided. I am abundantly blessed. And we just, run through all the points. And that's something that I know for me has really helped a lot with my nervous system. But yeah, take good care of yourself. If something like this happens, if a scary situation like this ever occurs for you, don't just like brush it under the rug and say, I'm fine. I'm fine. You might not be fine, or you might think you're fine in that moment. And this might wreak havoc on your life and relationships later on down the road. Take care of yourself. Okay. You only have one self. You only have one life. Make the best of it. And don't let these situations determine your future. You take control of yourself. You do the work to heal, to nurture, to love on yourself, to make sure that you can always put out your best self, because the reality is that shitty things are going to happen, right? life. Like, not to say that everybody, but like something that's not necessarily desirable is going to happen at some point in your life. And it's not the challenges that determine your life or who you are. It's how you deal with them and how you overcome it. So take good care of yourself. I love you so much. Thank you for listening, and stay limitless. Bye, guys.